presentation here on millions.co. I am your host, Hank Russell. My guest at this time, he is a jiu-jitsu practitioner. I just saw his profile picture and it looks like that he could get some real damage done from jiu-jitsu. Don't let that show fool you, man. Those guys get hurt worse than they look like on that show. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest this time is Mr. Jake Lentz. Hey, Jake.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You are turned sideways on your camera, by the way. You can turn your head. It doesn't matter how you have your camera as long as your head's up straight. That way you don't look like you got taco neck syndrome the whole time.
Yeah. You know? Is this better?
Yeah, you're fine. It doesn't matter how you got your camera as long as your head's on straight. You know, you seem like a level-headed guy anyway. We would just want to try to be like that. We just want to look like that. So, how long have you been practicing jiu-jitsu?
It's been about 4.5 years for me now. I got started about January of 2021, so when COVID was in full swing. So that was super weird, right? Yeah. I went to my first class and they had a camera and people joining via Zoom, but it's cool. And I used to in a previous life I was a wrestler, so it felt like the natural progression for me. And 4.5 years, no signs of stopping. It's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, it's funny you say that about the natural thing to do because I don't know how old you are, but how old are you?
I'll be 38. I'll be 38 on Halloween.
Okay, you're not that much younger than I am. So the thing about it is that I remember Matt Hughes was probably the first, maybe not the first, but he was definitely like one of the first mixed martial artists that was like a wrestler first that became comfortable on his back as a jiu-jitsu practitioner as well, because wrestlers are not comfortable on their backs.
No.
So
that was a hard transition to learn too. I got to say, like the old muscle memory of just spazzing out when you get on your back, it comes back so quickly. And it took me almost 8 months or so to get comfortable with it.
I mean, it's just like anything else. You know, you're going to have to do it over and over. You're going to have to get over some hurdles. I'm impatient that way, but I get it. You have to be. So
yeah.
So where are you from?
Originally, I'm from a really small town in central Indiana, Tipton, Indiana. It's just a little farm town about an hour north of Indianapolis. So grew up there, and then just moved through work. Now I'm in Columbus, Ohio. Been here for a little over a decade. And at this point, it doesn't seem like I'll ever leave.
Right. And I get it. I mean, for the record, I've never been to the Indiana or Ohio states to the best of my knowledge, but
it's beautiful here.
That's what I hear. I've, I'll have to tell you, I may have to relocate one day. But
Whereabouts are you?
Memphis, Tennessee.
Beautiful. I love Tennessee. I've got family down in Knoxville, so we get down there once in a while.
I am a native Memphian and have been here my whole life. That being said, the Tennessee you are familiar with is a lot more what you would call beautiful.
Yeah.
So, Tennessee's not bad. Tennessee's not bad at all. Memphis is more of a, like a city type thing.
Yeah.
So you kind of get the idea with that. No, man. So have you, okay. So obviously at the risk of sounding rude, but I'm only asking because all right. So you don't probably plan on transitioning to kickboxing or any type of like MMA.
Not competitively, man. Yeah, any desire to get punched in the face, I got that out of my system in my younger years, and I've already had one septoplasty. I'm not trying to go through another one, so I've entertained the thought of like training some Muay Thai or kickboxing, just for my own health and just for fun. But I don't really have any competitive aspirations in kickboxing or MMA. No.
The reason why I was asking is because I've had this trend over the last few days. All right, 3 days ago, I interviewed a guy, 53 years old, that just competed and won last night in mixed martial arts. I interviewed the legendary Ron Fields 2 nights ago, who was in Strikeforce and fought. And if you look at his record, he's fought many great fighters that were big in their day. And he's 50 years old, still fighting. So at one point in time, I would have assumed that somebody your age would not want to compete in MMA. However, I have been proven wrong these last few days.
Some guys just want it, man. And I respect the hell out of those dudes that, they just want to fight. And that is not me. I'm definitely a grappler through and through.
Yeah.
But I respect it, man. And those guys go out and get after it. And I wish that I had balls of steel like that, man, but it's just not for me.
That show that's on that the UFC has put on now that's on Thursday nights. Do you catch that?
No, I don't get to keep up with a lot of the live stuff. As far as UFC goes, Saturday night's about the only chance I get to tune in. Are you talking about the UFC BJJ show?
Yes.
I follow the highlights from it, but I haven't really tuned in to watch it live or catch the full show yet.
The reason why I'm asking is because it seems that there is a spotlight on BJJ in recent months that there hasn't been over, a long time now. And I think that I didn't know if in that area or if you're just kind of like, if you're around the scene or whatever, do you feel like that the popularity is starting to grow again for jiu-jitsu practitioners?
It's exploding. It absolutely is, for better or worse, right? You know, some of the things that come with that growth are great. You have more eyes on the sport. There's more money coming into the sport, and you can credit so many things with that. I know everybody likes to credit, like Craig Jones with CJI for doing those $1 million matches, Dana White and TKO getting invested in jiu-jitsu now. So the sport is definitely growing, but there's also, I don't know, then it gets a little bit more diluted that way. Like, I think lineages are important. It's important to know who somebody trains under and where they train, because then you end up in all these weird situations where, like, I mean, I'm sure you've seen the headlines about like this Derek Moneyberg guy who, like, I don't know, you know, I can't say much. I've trained longer than him, but he's a super genius. So what do I know? And then you have this story, and I forget this dude's name, but I'm sure you saw the headline making the rounds of this blue belt that promoted himself to purple belt and opened his own gym and stuff. So with the growth of the sport and with more people getting into it, you're going to get more weird stuff like that. So I find all that very interesting and entertaining, but at the end of the day, it's a very weird and probably bad look for the sport, right? But
yes,
you're absolutely right. It's blowing up exponentially in just the last couple of years, right? You know, it really first hit the scene with UFC in the early 90s, and then it was still very underground. You had to be kind of in the know with following MMA and grappling to even know where to train or what jiu-jitsu was. But now it's ubiquitous. Every town has a gym, no matter how small the town. Like, I travel for work, I'll go to some, like, Abilene, Texas, and there's like 3 gyms there. You know, it's crazy.
No, I get it. And I liked what you said earlier about it being diluted. I mean, everybody, there is this natural evolution where something becomes popular. And what I worry more about just also being diluted was also being saturated, meaning that there's so much out there that it's going to be hard to shine on those that have truly practiced in it the correct way, so to speak.
I get that. Yeah, there's a lot of, oh man, I wish we had hours to discuss this topic, right? Because it brings up questions of, like, ethics, right? Like, who are these athletes? What do they represent? Because a lot of kids are getting into jiu-jitsu as well. And,
right.
The whole, like, the steroid discussion is a big hot topic right now. And when there's so many kids in the sport, that's something you have to think about. There's also, it's interesting. I'll give you that.
Yes. No, I like I said, I worry about that, but I also am glad that it's getting spotlighted. But anything else, like 100%. You said, you're gonna get your good with your bad. Pick your poison.
Exactly. There's always going to be the unmentionables, right? The Pat Shagolis that go out and rip heel hooks on people and put people out, all the weird stuff. But at the same time, that's a very small subset. It's ultimately, of course, it's a good thing that more eyes are on this sport, and it's growing, and it's becoming something of a viable path for people who are exceptional athletes. Like, if they actually want a path to using this sport to make a living, there's so many ways to do it now. And so, as I'm a hobbyist, I like to compete, but I have a day job. This is not my career. This is just something I'm passionate about and I love to do. So that's what keeps me in it. But I love to see just the overall growth. It's ultimately a good thing. I'll take the bad with the good any day.
Right, and it does afford opportunities it does make it a little bit harder for the landscape. I mean, even guys like me who, document this stuff,
Sure.
it makes it a little bit harder for guys like me sometimes because it's so popular. I mean, I started watching MMA in 1999, and that was the first time I was introduced to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like you said, now it's like a gym everywhere you go. It doesn't matter how small the town is.
Yeah, man.
And it's insane. I mean, like I look at, what year is it? I look at like let's say somebody that's 20 years old. That was when mixed martial arts really had the big blow up with the Forrest Griffin Stephan Bonner fight.
Yes.
Now somebody who's 20 years old has known nothing but mixed martial arts their whole life.
It's crazy now, man. You go to a gym and you see a lot of green belts, these kids that have trained since they were like 4 years old, and it's kind of hilarious, like, to actually roll with these kids because they're so technical and they're so good, but they were born into this sport by having one or two parents that were already involved. So it's a whole new generation, and it's very exciting because you always want to see that continued refinement and growth with the art. So seeing an even bigger population of these kids that this sport is their life, I think it shows a very bright future for the sport.
It really does, man. And I look forward to covering it. I look forward to being the old man that covers it.
Hell yeah. Another thing I love about it too, now you got me talking about it. I love that with the proliferation of, grappling sports and jiu-jitsu, with both in the gi and without, and with the different rule sets that are out there, it's giving a new path forward for retired mixed martial artists, right? Because unless you're a celebrity in the sport, it's really hard to transition to a post-competition life where you can make money and still get the same validation you got before, right? Now these athletes, look at like Demetrius Johnson, like he hung it up a couple years ago with competitive MMA, and now he's competing in jiu-jitsu. He's going to IBJJF and doing different grappling events and having success. So I think that's another added benefit to seeing the sport become much more popular, is a lot of, these men and women now, they can do something to continue their careers and have a positive impact both on the community and for themselves.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things where fighting and competitive sports or combat sports, should I say, are more, a little bit more difficult to make it in. It's a lot more difficult to make it. I'm not discrediting. This is a sports, Millions.co is sports. I primarily cover combat sports, but I did cover basketball and football and baseball for a long time as well. And there's not a sport, in my opinion, that you pay more dues in with less recognition than in competitive in combative sports.
It's not even close. Any of those other sports that you just mentioned, there's a path forward for any of those athletes that go pro are, if they're not total dummies, are set for life. They're going to make enough money in the handful of years that they're active to set aside their nest egg, take care of themselves. They can go and do commentary and do public appearances and make money and stuff. But and their sports are not as hard on the body as combat sports are. The NFL, I think you can make an argument there that there's obviously a lot of damage that comes with it, but even side by side compared with combat sports, it's not the same. You don't pay the same price. You still play every week. The combat athletes, if they get injured, I know from personal experience, you get injured, it takes you out 3-4 months. And then you get back on track, and then you got to find the right timing so you can compete and get back out there. And then, God forbid, another injury happens, and nobody sees that part of the process, right? They just see, it's fight week, or you're in camp or whatever, and then you go and you do the thing. They don't see the behind the scenes stuff, all the setbacks and things. And you're right, it's very thankless. It doesn't have all the glitz and glam as a lot of the other sports you had mentioned.
Right. Well, one thing you didn't mention, though, that is the most important is what I said about the paying your dues thing, and that is that a high school player or a pro basketball player has probably been followed since middle school. Like, we knew about LeBron James when he was 13 years old in middle school, and then he, even if he'd went to college, we would have been following him. It's
Oh
not
yeah.
like the guy hasn't been known who it is. So even if he didn't make it as a pro, he didn't really pay the same dues because there's a certain spotlight of, having your quote unquote drink paid for, sort of
Yes.
mentality. Like they were talking. I remember I was listening to the Fab Five and that played in the early '90s, and they were complaining because they were eating hot dogs and stuff like that. I'm like, dude, I guarantee you that there were people probably buying you tacos and stuff like
Oh
that from
yeah.
Taco Bell. I'm not discrediting, how the hard work. I'm just saying that, you were hungry, but you weren't starving, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Right. Yeah, 100%. And yeah, I guess when you said paying your dues, I kind of my connotation was a little different there. I was thinking like the physical toll it takes, right? But you're
Oh,
you're
that
absolutely
too.
right there as well. Like
Yes.
like you said, LeBron James, Greg Oden grew up like 20 minutes from where I did. Like
Yeah.
you see it, from a young age. If you stand out, there's a path forward. You're already a superstar. But with combat sports, man, it's like nobody cares until you've already made it. And unless you're a die-hard fan like you or I, nobody's most mixed martial arts and combat sports fans aren't going to show up to their local fight promotion, right?
No.
Uh, Most people aren't going to show up to smaller cards to see the local talent, but hopefully, with the continued growth of these sports, we'll see those things continue to grow.
Absolutely. So what weight class do you fight at or compete at?
I'm usually somewhere between 220 and 230.
Okay.
It's been gosh, 4 years ago I was at 200, but I'd like to get back down there at some point. But body recomposition sucks, so we'll see how it goes. But
Yeah.
I usually walk around at 230, 235 and cut
Okay.
down to like 220 or so for competition. But it really just depends. With with the event that I'm doing in 2 weeks, their cutoff for their ultra heavy division is only 220. And with the late sign up, I was like, I'm not going to cut to that, but I'll do, if you got, and they presented a catch weight to me. So I'm taking that. Don't have to worry about a cut or anything. But
There you go.
it depends. Different. Grappling industries, IBJJF, they all have different weight classes, but that's about where I float. It's 220, 230.
Do you know who your opponent is?
I know his name and I've seen his picture. I know nothing about the guy. He's Jared. He trains out of Limitless Jiu-Jitsu down in the Cincinnati area. It sounds like he's done Kumite, the event that I'm doing. It sounds like he's done it before. Sounds like he's a really talented purple belt, which is a big challenge for me being a blue belt. So, I'm very excited about it. I don't know. I haven't seen any tape or anything of him. I've never met him in competition before. I don't really travel a lot for competition. This is the first time I've done an IBJJF in Indianapolis. So this is my second time really traveling to compete. So yeah, I don't really know anything other than he's purple belt. It was presented then the match was presented to me, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And how many competitions have you done?
Oh my gosh,
Too many
somewhere
to count.
between like it's like around 10 or so.
Okay.
Most of them are just local competitions,
Sure.
grappling industries type things at IBJJF, but I did do Fight to Win a couple years ago, and I was signed up for Enigma last year. That's when I got injured and had to take time off and back out of that match, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
I love competition, man. For me, it's just one of the black belts at my gym, Greg Schaefer. He says it best is that at our age, we're just blessed to be able to still have game day, right? Like,
Yeah.
when you're growing up, when you're young, it's a part of your part of going to school or whatever. It's easy to take that for granted. But so I'm just really happy to still, at coming up on 38, I'm still able to have game days. So,
No,
and
absolutely.
with the challenge ahead of me with this, with this purple belt, the way I see it, I've got nothing to lose. Either I go and I get mauled by some purple belt who's probably much more experienced than I am, or I go and I beat him, and then I beat somebody that's better than me. So,
Right.
because my favorite thing about jiu-jitsu is just trying to be better, be better than you were before. And whatever that looks like is different for everybody. Sometimes it doesn't even involve competition, but as long as you're getting better, that's really what it's all about.
Absolutely, man. Hey, before I let you go, I want you to promote your fight for me. Tell me where it is.
Absolutely.
You know, where I want you to tell me where it is, where can go, and details about that, and when it is, and where guys like me can watch it.
Absolutely. So my match is coming up on August 23rd. That is a Saturday. It's in about 2 weeks. It's going to be down in Covington, Kentucky at Madison Theater is where the event's taking place. It's Kumite BJJ. So if you want to catch the live stream, you can. I believe it's being hosted through Millions. You can get the pay-per-view info through Kumite's website, kumitebjj.com. I don't know where my match is in the card, so tune in early. But that's the details I got for that. Big shout out to my coaches at Gracie, Ohio, Michael McLean, Robin Giesler, Greg Schaefer, Greg Smith, Jerry Kaler, everybody. They all know who they are. And shout out to my diet sponsor, Wario's Beef and Pork, for making fantastic cheesesteaks. And I'm going to go get one after this, actually. But, yeah, man, tune in. Check it out. There's a lot of great matches on the card. It should be very entertaining. I hope you get to tune in as well, Hank. I'm very excited.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I will do the best I can to be able to catch it. That's for sure.
I appreciate that.
Man, I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Hank Russell. You have been watching the Hank Russell Invitation, man. You could have been doing anything else this afternoon, but you decided to hang out with us, and I sure do appreciate it here on Millions.co. On that note, y'all have a pleasant evening.
Thank you.